vet. As he would say to the rest of us, we still have promises to keep. The title of that great co-ed volume we did together. I'm sure today's session, as well as the memorial event held at the University of Buffalo in March, are just the beginnings of our community's remembrance of Greg. For many of us, there is much left to say in sharing, honoring, and celebrating Greg's work and life.
I knew Greg for 19 years. It would have been 20 years this fall. I want to close with one story that, for me, speaks to who he was and the legacy he's left us. And appropriately, it's an AERA story. 13 years ago, for AERA in 2002, a group of us organized 2 panels honoring the 25th anniversary of Paul Willis's learning to labor. A number of people in the room were on those panels. I pulled the panels together and invited Paul to join us as a discussant on both panels. Happily, Paul Willis agreed to do it. But then, because I had invited Paul, I realized at some point before AERA that I needed to invite him to have dinner with me. That was courtesy. But then I panicked. Paul was a big rock star academic, and I was not. I was terrified at the thought of having dinner alone with Paul Willis. So what did I do in my panic? I got in touch with Greg. This is true. Asking him to please join me and Paul for dinner. And seconds later, Greg replied via email, "Sure, of course, sounds like fun." This was in AERA, it was in New Orleans one year. And the 3 of us had a fabulous, fun dinner with great conversation and much laughter. The next day, after the conclusion of the second panel, a group of us were talking about how remarkable and energizing the panels had been, and that I should now pull together a book from the panels. Greg must have been standing right next to me, because I remember turning to him and simply saying, "You'll do the book with me, right?" And by now, you know what Greg said. "Sure, of course, sounds like fun." Because that is who he was, and we've heard that over and over again. Anything I needed, anytime I asked, he was there. And as we've heard over and over again today, that's not just my story, but the story of anyone who knew him. So as you leave today and you go back to the conference and your work and your life, please keep Greg in your heart. And the next time someone asks you to help, remember Greg. And with passion, joy, and a belief that anything is possible, just say, "Sure, of course, sounds like fun." And it will be. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us today. So important to so all of us.